Look out for what? Oh! Greedo! This time he did shoot first. Greetings and welcome to another Retro Friday! And if I just stop talking for a second... Hopefully that music has given you a bit of a clue as to the game we're playing this week. It is, of course, Star Wars Jedi Knight Dark Forces 2. That's the full title. It's the sequel to Dark Forces, which was LucasArts' first foray into a first-person shooter. Dark Forces, of course, was a Doom clone, whereas Jedi Knight is a much more well-rounded game in its own right. I mean, Dark Forces, don't get me wrong, is a great game, and as far as Doom clones go, it's one of the better ones. And it's one of the more... Innovative is perhaps not the right word to use for it, but it's certainly one that it has a slightly different feel to it, which is helped, of course, by the Star Wars setting, the sound effects, the music, the fantastic John Williams soundtrack, which is rendered as well as possible in Dark Forces. And, you know, why does he keep talking about Dark Forces? I hear you asking, when he's playing Jedi Knight. Why is he not playing Dark Forces? Well, I tried to play Dark Forces, but... unfortunately, I had problems getting it to record properly, so Jedi Knight it is, I'm afraid. Jedi Knight, and to be fair, like I say, whilst Dark Forces was a good game, Jedi Knight was an absolutely outstanding game, and an innovator in many respects, you know, which is what I like to cover with these Retro Fridays, rather than just any old retro game. I like it to be a retro game that stood out, oh, we got some people up there, that stood out at the time as being, you know, either something that was new or different, or just like, you know, an excellent example of the sort of the pinnacle of a particular technology. A bit like Blood. Blood was kind of like the pinnacle of raycasting technology, and interestingly, Blood and this same year, 1997. So it's, you know, you can see. In many respects, this game looks vastly better than Blood because it's running in high resolution. Because this Steam version lets you run it on, you know, at modern resolution. So this is running at like 1600 by 900 or something. So it looks much more clean and crisp. Yeah, that's right. I shot first, Greedo. I shot first. But you know, it's clear, you know, when you look at this how. The polygon revolution had started, and you know, with 3D, did he just jump off? He just jumped to his death. Crazy fool, crazy fool. Yeah, what was I talking about? Yeah, the difference between this and Blood is pretty obvious actually, and it's not hard to see why people moved away from raycasting when these sorts of things became possible. And this game was only really possible to play properly if you had a 3D accelerator card. I mean, I remember I had this game and I had an early. I think it was a 3D, like a 3DFX Voodoo card. I'm pretty sure that's what I had. It had like a pass-through cable on it. So like it only did the 3D bits, and all the 2D bits had to be done by your regular VGA card, which was actually, you know, the way it worked for a few years. Like that's the way 3D accelerator cards were. Got you as well. Down you go, buddy. So yeah, it very much kind of like marks a transitional point. Now, it wasn't the first like first-person shooter in 3D. That honor, I believe, goes to Quake, although I may be wrong about that. If you know differently, please do let me know. Quake, of course, came out the year before in 1996. I'm not sure exactly what month any of these things. Oh, I nearly shot you then. Look, it's just a normal civilian just wandering about, looking awesome. There you go, buddy. So. It didn't innovate in that respect, although it did jump on the sort of the 3D wagon very early. I mean, you know, if Quake was the first, then this was probably perhaps not the second, but you know, within the first half dozen or so. Again, I'm sort of pulling these figures out of the air, so if I'm wrong, please do feel free to correct me in the comments. But it's, you know, what this game really did innovate in though is it took the fairly well established at this point first-person shooter standard of kind of like minimal or no plot, and just sort of like all action and just, you know, enemies thrown in your way just for the sake of it, and wrapped it up in a much more immersive and well-written plot. It had cutscenes. It had live action mixed with CG, a very well done live action mixed with CG, I have to say. Actually well acted, which was rare at the time for live action cutscenes in games. Although, you know, it's what you would expect from LucasArts, really. This sort of the period of time was LucasArts was really on fire. I mean, they produced this. They were producing the X-Wing and the TIE Fighter games, I think, around the same sort of time. And there were others. I mean, LucasArts was really, and of course, lots of non-Star Wars games as well. They produced around this sort of time. So they were absolutely on fire at that point in time. And this is an example of it. And this, of course, and its sequel, Jedi Knight 2. Amazing games, really amazing games. They are among my favourites, and I say this a lot on Retro Fridays, but it's because I have a lot of old favourite games. Mouse look, I can't remember if Quake had mouse look or if that is something. Look at that little robot. Look, silly little robot. Sorry, that was terrible of me. I can't remember if Quake had mouse look or not, but this game certainly did. This game also had, which I know that Quake definitely didn't have, which is third-person view, and it was the best way to use the lightsabers when you get access to the lightsabers. Although you can use them from first person, I think it's generally best to go into third person, and then it becomes like a third-person action adventure game, and I don't think it's got things like kind of grabbing onto ledges, but it definitely has a kind of a platformery feel to it at times in this game, with you sort of jumping from place to place, using your various force powers to aid you with that as well, to kind of like to jump around and get to places that you wouldn't otherwise be able to reach. Also, you get things like force push and force pull, all the classic force powers, which are just an absolute joy to use. I don't think there's anything in there. Look. Kill him. Take this ammo. You do have to be a little bit careful with ammo in this game. It's relatively stingily handed out. You can't fire like they do in the movies. They're just like blasting away at everything. You have to be a little bit more thrifty. Although I do like the fact that the weapons, the blasters, are quite inaccurate at range. Which is very much like the movies. Like, the old stormtroopers couldn't hit the broadside of a barn, even though they're supposed to be like crack Imperial trained, master soldiers or whatever. Right, let's take this up. We're going to go all the way up to the top. I have played through this a couple of times whilst preparing to make this video, so that's if I look like I know what I'm doing, it's not because I remember, playing a game in 1997 well enough to be able to advance through it with ease. It's because this is like the fourth or fifth time I've done this particular bit. I think there was just like an area to grab stuff. So we go round. We go round at this point. So yeah, the third person. I mean, just the general immersiveness of this game and the way the storyline drew you in, and the way it was like revealed to you, and you actually got that character progression, which again is not something you really saw in first-person shooters very much. I mean, there may have been other sort of games that did this a bit, and of course you've got the equipment progression in most first-person shooters of finding different guns, better guns as you progress through it. But in this, actually becoming a Jedi and progressing through the sort of the Jedi ranks and gaining greater mastery and Jedi powers. I think, and I may be wrong about this because I haven't gotten this far. I haven't gotten far enough to become a Jedi yet in this playthrough. But I think you could side with. Oh, we missed it. Sorry, we missed it. There's a TIE fighter comes out and flies off there. It's like a really spectacular moment, and I just went shooting through. I do apologise. If you want to see it, you can always buy the game yourself. It's available on Steam, as I say. But yeah, like that sort of sense of progression and storytelling, which I don't think was really seen in a first-person shooter before this. And Half-Life, which came out, I think, a year later, was kind of the first game to really, or like perhaps a better-known example of a game to take the first-person genre and try and innovate on it and make it a bit more of an immersive, story-driven experience. But this game came first. At the end of the day, this game came first, and I wouldn't be at all surprised if the developers of Half-Life had played this game and had gotten quite a lot of ideas from it in terms of how they wanted to do Half-Life and to have it stand out a little bit from that first-person crowd. What's happening? What's happening is I'm running around being a badass and killing lots of hup, hup, hup. Don't get squashed. Whoa. I thought I was going to get squashed. Here we go. Fine. Yeah, killing lots of guys. Fine. The sounds, of course, are, I'm pretty sure, all samples taken more or less directly from the movie, or if not, they've been recreated very, very well, which gives you like a really strong sense of being in the movie environments. Soundtrack, as I said before, John Williams, it's the movie soundtrack, and it's what can you say about the Star Wars? The Star Wars soundtrack is one of the greatest soundtracks, movie soundtracks of all time, and they make good use of it. Although interestingly, it's not playing at the moment, and I guess it doesn't play continuously, but just at times. I'm not sure. I hadn't really noticed that before. But there you go. Right. Well, let's just press on, shall we? It's got lots of bits where there's people hiding in these like vents and stuff above you. It's very cheeky. Oh, here we go. It's the end of the level. I've reached the end of the level. Level 2. We'll just start. I don't think we'll go for very long because we've probably already been going for 10 minutes or so. That's my ship. I seem to remember that being much bigger. Maybe it gets bigger in Jedi Knight 2, because I'm pretty sure you have the same ship, although I'm not sure you're the same. In fact, I'm pretty certain you're not the same guy. I think it takes place sort of afterwards, and you've inherited the ship, or I don't know, there's some kind of conceit involved that gets you to it. Take him out. So yeah, I mean, this game, I recommend it. I think it actually stacks up against modern games. It's unlike a lot of retro games, it's recognisably a modern first-person shooter, you know. And whilst there are going to be things, especially the graphics, which you might think are, you know, less than stellar by modern standards. Should we jump down that little hole? Jump down that little hole. That'll be the way we're going. In general, it stacks up really well, you know, and you know, it does cut to a very tiny window every time the cutscenes play, because the cutscenes are obviously rendered in like 320 by 200, like super old school resolution. Oh, what's this? I think I've just picked up a thermal detonator, because he's holding a thermal detonator. It didn't turn out to be a particularly effective thermal detonator. Didn't there? There's someone up there. I can't get him. Let's just press on. Let's go this way. This is probably the way to go. I don't know why there are so many people hanging around in here trying to shoot me. I mean, they're very dedicated, considering like 88 has already left, and you know, they really have nothing to gain by waiting to be gunned down in these places. How they even knew I was going to come down here, I don't know. I mean, unless this is like their hideout, like, you know, there's like a gang that just lives down here. You know, not everything makes sense. Some things it's okay for some things to just be because it's a game. But in general, like I said, this game made a lot more effort to make the environments make sense, and also make them spectacular and big and kind of just very Star Warsy. It's probably the best way I can describe it. It's all very Star Warsy. Look, it's R to R D R. It's another R. Do 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 do. Oh no, you don't go do 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 do. Okay, fine. Let's move on.
Look out!
Oh, look out. Look out for what? Oh! Greedo! This time he did shoot first. Right, take him down. Press on. Well, I mean, I don't know why I'm pressing on, because, you know, we're not really going to get a chance to see. I really want to see another TIE fighter or something fly off. I'm really annoyed that I missed that. I do apologise. But look, this is an example here. Look at the size and the scope of these environments. You really didn't see environments like this. At least I don't think. Or maybe I'm misremembering. But I remember that as being an impression I had at the time when I played this, of just how big and how impressive the environments were, and how, you know, you almost got a sense of vertigo when you were walking along some of the platforms and things, and it did feel all very, very Star Wars, you know. And this is before the prequels kind of. Oh, it's what are those things called? Oh, I can't remember what they're called. They're kind of orc-like things. Anyway, it's one of those. And there's another one. I think there's another one behind him as well. That's right. Slowly walk towards me whilst I gun you down. That's clearly the best tactic. Oh! Too many of them! Maybe I will do another episode of this, but I'll skip forward to when I've actually become a Jedi and I've got all the Jedi powers, because that's, you know, the game really comes alive at that point. That's definitely what the game is all about. I mean, it's called Jedi Knight, and whilst the gunplay is cool and it's fun and everything, like, it really is more of a lightsabery game. At least that's the way I remember it, and of course a Force Powers game as well. Out. Oh, I've got another thermal detonator! Because he's holding a thermal detonator! I'm sorry, I keep saying that. They're rubbish though. Why did they make the thermal detonators so utterly appalling? But as I was saying, I've used up all my ammo. Oh, you gotta watch out for that. As I was saying, I think, and I may be being overly optimistic here, but I think even someone who didn't play this game back in the day, you know, like someone who's used to more modern first-person shooters, I think you could enjoy this game. I think you could buy this game and play it and enjoy it. I mean, yeah, you'd have to be prepared to overlook the graphics, and that's always going to be an issue. But if you're prepared to overlook the graphics, there is an absolutely fantastic game here and a great story to experience. And of course, there's always Jedi Knight 2, which is probably what I will take a look at next week, because, you know, it'd be interesting to see how they have progressed, you know, how it progresses from one to the next. There was kind of like an expansion, or like maybe it was a standalone, I'm not sure, but there was like another thing done in this engine, but I think I'll probably skip over that unless people are desperate to see it, and move straight on to Jedi Knight 2. However, I think that'll do. As I wander around in these little bizarre warrens running out of ammo, yeah, I think that'll do. I have been Weird Wizard. Thanks a lot for watching, everyone. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you enjoyed me playing a first-person shooter. I know I've been kind of rabbiting on quite a lot. That's the way I try and do these things. I try and come up with interesting facts to talk about, to help make it interesting. It works better in some games than others. Not sure if first-person shooters are necessarily the best. Oh, look what's happening. I don't even. Oh, look. See what I mean? It's like a puzzle. Anyway, I really have to stop it there, because I could keep recording this all day and getting further and further into the game. But at the end of the day, I think these episodes are best if they're limited to 15 minutes or so. If you're desperate to see more of this, leave a comment, let me know. If enough people are, as always, I will happily revisit it. As I said, it might be interesting to perhaps do another Retro Friday on it, but further into the plotline where I've actually unlocked the Jedi powers, but it'll all depend on reception and what people think of it and all the rest of it. So let me know. Are you a Jedi Knight fan or are you not? Fantastic. Right, well, I have been Weird Wizard. Thanks a lot for watching, everyone, and I will see you later!